Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Mates mini review on the channel. I am Matthew once again, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, great to see you. On today's show, we're going back into the horror film genre and back into a universe that we're familiar with because we recently did a podcast about the two previous films a couple months ago, and of course the Conjuring films. So I'm going to pass over to Callum to explain what the film is we're going to be talking about today and a breakdown of our discussion. So yeah, off to you, man.
So yes, as Matthew said, we have talked about the first two films. We haven't talked about the extended universe. I'm sure we'll get round to it whenever the next sort of external kind of film comes out. You know, if there's a Nun sequel or a sequel to The Curse of La Llorona. But I think both of us weren't that interested in sitting down, this year and watching three Annabelle films. I think that would have been a bit torturous at the minute. But this film that we're talking about is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's a film about the first American case where the defense was presented as demonic possession. So a lot of this film is, investigative, law based, courtroom based. It sort of takes a sidestep, from the previous two films, which were objective horror films, that are sort of in the vein of The Exorcist. We have a little bit of that here, but really, I think horror takes a bit of a sidestep here. Would you agree?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's weird because it didn't have as much courtroom stuff as I thought it would, but I think this film is very different in the fact that it deals more rather than some kind of poltergeist at play haunting a house. It is sort of like it's more of a satanic sort of cult aspect here that's it's really been delved into. So it is interesting. I suppose it's also worth noting that this is the first film you and I went to see together in the cinema in ages. I think it might be the first film we've actually seen together since maybe like Sonic the Hedgehog or something, mate. It's been that long.
Yeah, did we see Sonic the Hedgehog together? I
Yeah, we
can't quite
did. We
remember.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes,
So
we
it's been
did
a
because
while
my
ago,
dad made
over
us
a year.
10 minutes late.
Over a
Uh,
year. Check out our Sonic the Hedgehog review. Over a year, mate.
yeah,
That's
because
mad.
we didn't see Wonder Woman together. I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog then. That's
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's
I
crazy,
mean, we
but
didn't even get to sit together.
I know. We it was socially distanced in the theater, so it was. So unfortunately, we sort of got the last two seats, but they were still very good seats. Actually, I was happy with mine to be honest. Um,
Yeah, I was very happy because there were only like four bookable rows, and I thought either it's a tiny cinema or we're just being presented with the rows in which there are seats to be booked. But it turned out that their level of social distancing was actually not only multiple seats across. I think it was three seats across between bookable seats, but also an entire row between. So like it was 6 feet either way, which was, I mean, I felt safe.
yeah,
It
yeah.
felt very appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great being back in the cinema to be honest, because one thing I really missed was sort of the level of audio you can get from a TV. It's never the same as a cinema, obviously, and I thought the audio and for the Conjuring was absolutely great. So
Mm.
it was great to be back in the theater. Great to be back in the theater.
Speaking of the audio, though, in the first two Conjuring films, sometimes, when Lorraine is kind of in her element, there's little bits of like whispering in the background, and I was always like, there were a few instances where I was like, is that what's happening right now? Is she tapping into her powers? And then I just realized it was the annoying little girls that were sat in your row.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Yeah, like
Like
it's
they were not 15. Let's just say, they were maybe 13, and they
yeah.
just did not shut up for a single second. Like, what I have no idea what you have to add to a horror film. Like, I can screaming is permissible in a horror film if it's really scary and you have a bit of a reaction, fair enough. But like, what commentary are you adding to a horror film? I don't get it,
My favorite comment
because it's
was
not like it's not like an intellectual piece where you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, I,
yeah,
I have no idea what you're adding to it.
my favorite comment was this film's so scary, and I was like, I agree. I agree.
You agree?
I thought it was quite jump scary. I really hate jump scares. Like Callum thought I had fallen asleep because like I had my head like this. I just don't like horror films. So I was like I had my head like this. So
Oh,
Callum,
I thought it was because you were tired. Was that how to sort of
oh,
bringing yourself back a bit?
well, I was watching it. Like I was there watching it, but like it was just like I don't know. I just I don't know.
Because
I'm
we're,
a little
we're going to be
scared for you.
addressing some non-spoiler comments and then some spoiler comments. But in my first non-spoiler is that if you assess the quality of horror films based on how scary they're going to be, this may not be to your liking. Because for me, I was not scared for a single second, and I really don't. I suggested in my notes that maybe I'm just desensitized to horror films, because I mean every scary element, which it was clear, that this is intended to be scary, I was just laughing my ass off.
There
Like,
is some funny moments here, yeah, for sure.
very like I don't consider this a spoiler. There's a moment where a child stabs their dad in the leg, and I just like I couldn't control myself. I just let out a barrel of laughs, and just everyone
Yeah.
else was shitting themselves for whatever reason.
Yeah, it was a funny one. Like the film does, the film, it is very different from the first two actually, because as I said, rather than sort of having like a house be haunted or someone being possessed, like this does go down like a very different route than I thought it was, without giving too much away. And I think it's actually helped by the fact that Ed and Lorraine are actually involved as well. Like it's actually going after them rather than sort of people who they're trying to help. So I think it's really refreshing. And it's actually got a very good cast as well. Like all the there's a lot of actors in here who I've never seen before, but they actually give very good performances. So fair play.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This is very different to the first two, which I'm very appreciative of. The first two are fairly standard horror fare. But this film, as I said, acts as more of an investigation rather than 45 minutes to an hour spent in a house performing an exorcism. So if you were gonna compare the three films, you'd say the first one and two are, they're in the vein of the Exorcist.
Yeah.
But this film, it's more, Spotlight or All the President's Men, where there's some conspiracy that needs to be uncovered.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about this in spoilers, because I mean, again, this is based on a true story, of a real legal case. So really, what I have to say in the spoiler section isn't really a spoiler, because it's as I said, it's based on facts. What I have to say there, but just in case you don't want the outcome of the story spoiled, I'll leave that to spoilers. But I just there's a certain level of recklessness in how the story is told, in my opinion, that we'll get into. So if I had to give the film one harsh criticism, it's that I think their portrayal of real events is reckless.
Yeah, I mean, I did some research on the real events afterwards, and there's a lot of there's a lot of omissions, shall we say, that the film doesn't decide to include or doesn't decide to outrightly say, or just blatantly skips over from the actual sort
Yeah,
of facts of the case, which is it's a difficult one, because like it is a film, and it's designed to be entertained and not necessarily like really picked apart about how it displays certain things. But like there's certain, yeah, I mean, I do know what you mean. Like there's certain things where like if I was a family member of the man who got killed or something, I would be like,
yeah,
yeah, what are you doing here? Like this is are you just making money off a crime? And
yeah,
that's what's happening here, really, to be honest with you. Maybe that's really sort of a bit too sort of harsh. But to
yeah,
me, like there's that aspect of it, yeah.
yeah. That's exactly how I saw it. In fact, I think we can talk about it now, because it's not a spoiler for the film. We're not going to say what the outcome of the investigation was, what the outcome of the case was. But just to talk about how they're portrayed, the events. It's seen in the trailer that this guy's been possessed. That's why he's done this. But with this being based on a real life court case, I just do feel a bit uncomfortable about how it's portrayed. Because of course in the previous two films they were based on real Warren investigations. But the filmmakers have just followed what the Warrens have said happened, because it makes for a better film. But in that case, presenting this far-fetched perception of what happened doesn't hurt anyone, because it's really just your word against like the people who were suffering as a result within their haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
So no one outside of that family was affected, and this is their assertion that is being portrayed as they intended. So no one's being harmed. It's just that there's maybe a questionable view of what actually
Yeah.
happened being validated. But, that doesn't hurt anyone for the sake of entertainment. But when it comes to these, just as you said, if I were a family member watching this, and they were a victim, and you feel justice was never served for your dead relative, like I imagine a film presenting the killer as like you know, a heroic victim, you know, where he was a victim of demonic possession, not the murdered person was a victim of this person.
Yeah.
You know, we can't say for certain what happened. You know, as this film you know, puts forward, you know, the court, every time they enter a case, you know, is recognizing the God Israel, you know, by asking people to swear an oath to tell the truth. So, you know, I suppose recognizing the devil Israel and the demonic Israel, you know, that to me poses, you know, there's some value in that comment. You know, I think,
Yeah.
you know, but
I think it
you
goes hand
know,
in hand, doesn't it? Because I think if, you know, I'm not going to go too in depth into like religion here or anything, but like by the nature of like if the court like, you know, I think that the line that Ed Warren delivers in this film about that sort of problem, like if the court acknowledges that God's real, then by the nature of the Bible, you know, if God's real, then the Bible's real, and therefore by merit the devil must be real. So because I don't think you can have one without the other in that instance. um it's an interesting point, mate. It really is. And you know, I'm not too educated on that kind of thing, but what I will say is it's it is a very it's a difficult one to analyze, because I do get it's, you know, they're taking the Warren's word for it, but that being said, like there is like blatant like evidence and facts that suggest like something else went on here as well. So it's kind of I do get to trying to build the purposes of the story, and you know, I'm not trying to discredit like any of the investigations by the Warrens, because like as I say, we weren't there. That could have happened. You know, and anything goes. You know, it's you know, it is what it is. I'm not an expert on it, but I just thought the portrayal of the guy as like a victim himself was maybe a bit too much of a stretch for me.
yeah,
But yeah,
because where there is, you know, you know, a surmountable, you know, amount of doubt, you know, you can't really present any events as objective fact. You know, one similar comparison film wise to me is a film called Lizzie, which is based on uh, Lizzie Borden, who was accused of killing her father with an axe. And then in this film, they present, you know, how how the filmmakers saw the events occur, which included, you know, her not only killing her father, but also sort of bringing in, you know, the housekeeper of the family, who was also her lesbian lover. So you know, they've really, you know, like taken what they imagined happened, run with it, and then, you know, almost made it seem like it's a biopic. You know, so
mm-hmm.
it's, you know, it's
Yeah,
just kind of, you know, there's artistic license, but there's also, you know, when you're dealing with real people, when you're asserting things as objective fact, it's just really questionable. And again, you know, I feel like we might get comments like it's a movie, but then you also go, it's real people. And you know, I think
yeah. I
if you
think
were a family member of the victim, then you would really call into question, you know, how this is being presented.
exactly, kind of like put it this way, like if the film didn't go out of its way to say before the movie starts this is based on a true story, then I wouldn't say anything, because it doesn't acknowledge, then it, you know, it doesn't acknowledge that. But by acknowledging that it says it's based on true events, then you have to go in and you have to have a deeper look at it, you have to have a critical look at it, because like otherwise, you know, what are we even doing here? Like, why are we talking about the movie? Like, it's a big part of the film. And it goes back to the old thing, like there's three sides of every story, mate. There's one person's side, the other person's side, and the truth. And I think it's impossible to determine what actually went on here. But the logical answer in my head is that the film made too much of a stretch in portraying Arnie Johnson as a victim. Not to say that he's guilty or innocent, you know, it's not for me to decide. But that being said, I think filmmaking wise, I'd actually would have enjoyed if the film went more into the courtroom stuff, because it's not as much as I would have liked. But that being said, yeah, I think the themes that it does discuss here are done well. Like you said, there's a great line from Ed Warren about the court's denial of the devil and how it should accept that he exists. So I think it's a really good sort of in-depth discussion that it offers, and I think it handled that part of it well.
I think if you just change the names and some of the circumstances, you have an equally good film with none of the headaches. Because I was writing up notes for this, and I was genuinely just I was kind of I was so baffled as to what to say, because I really enjoyed the film, and I love all the performances, and I was like, wow, this Arnie Johnson guy is really likable because of how the actor portrayed him and how the character is written.
Definitely.
But if you think, oh, he killed my brother, he's a monster, and then this film is like, oh, he's as good a guy as a guy can be, he was just possessed by a demon. Those are so drastically opposing portrayals of one person. But this film takes responsibility in choosing one and running with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it goes past the acceptable point of artistic license.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of putting it, mate, to be honest with you. I do agree completely. And on that note, I don't have anything to say for non-spoilers, mate. Anything else to say? Anything from yourself?
Well, I really don't think we've given away anything that happens within the film, other than the setup that is presented by the trailer and how we felt about that being portrayed. I mean, it's clear from the marketing, all of what we've said, and if you do any research yourself, when it comes to true stories, anything that we've talked about that is in relation to the film, we've talked about the true event, whereas they deviate or decide what happened there. So I don't think we've given away anything that happened in the film. So I'm comfortable with this just being a non-spoiler review. If you think we haven't given anything away.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
Because I don't have anything else on the film, in all honesty, other than Patrick Wilson is a babe, and I want to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think one strength about these films is that it does give you the curiosity to go and research about Ed and Lorraine Warren and what they did in their lives and the cases that they investigated, because it is very interesting. It really, really is interesting. Like, I think there's a lot of sort of subtle references to The Exorcist in here as well, especially the opening scene, to be honest with you, as well. It's a really good
I couldn't decide whether I'd like that or dislike that. I was like, is that fun or is it cheap? I'm not sure.
It felt very out of place in the film, I will say that. But that being said, mate, I think the film it's a good discussion, because, like I said, it explores very interesting and intriguing themes as well. So I had a good discussion about it, and I suppose that leads us into the big question, really, of all. Is it a massive hit or piece of shit?
I have my troubles with it, but that's more again in the setup of it rather than the execution. Again, if it was just this film about a person who got demonically possessed, and that they were creating this recognized fiction, I think I would love the film. Well, I would like the film equally, but I wouldn't have any of the headaches of the question. I would just say I really enjoyed it. Great film, and I'd be done with it. So I do have my doubts as to the execution of how it played out. But when it comes to, did I enjoy the film? Of course, and I think it improved upon everything that was established in the first two films. And of course, Patrick Wilson, massive points for having him in the film. So I have to say that it's a massive hit, but I have my reservations.
I agree, mate. I agree. I think it was a nice feeling sort of emerging from the cinema and talking about it with you. And I think one thing we sort of both looked at each other and thought, yeah, it's probably the best one out of the three. It doesn't mean it's not the most convoluted or the most complicated. Like, it definitely has those headache inducing sort of thoughts about it and the discussions that we've had about it. But that being said, I think as a film, not necessarily the actual story, I think as a film, it's really well shot. It's a gorgeous film to look at. It offers something different from the other two. I think it improves upon it with good pacing, and a lot of great sort of standout performances, especially Patrick Wilson. I mean, he's great. He's a lot more vulnerable here, which I liked. I think he's great. So yeah, mate, I'm happy to call it a massive hit as well, for sure.
I missed like him having a musical performance though. He had one at least in the last film, I think, but I would have liked to see him bust out another tune.
I would like to see one more Conjuring film, because I think there are other stories to tell. I'm not sure if we will, because I you know, it's one of those universes where I think, I just don't see it lasting. I hope it does, because I'm not sure if these films do well. I mean, I imagine they do when they're getting loads of sequels. So hopefully we'll see a fourth one. But yeah, thank you very much for today, mate. That concludes
Thank
another
you.
mini review in the channel. This will be found in our horror film playlist, as well as our mini review playlist and our 2021 playlist, where you can just see all our film reviews of this year. And yeah, stay tuned to the channel later on this week for a Fast and Furious Part 2 podcast as well. And yeah, hopefully, I don't know what's in the schedule after that, but probably a lot of good stuff as well, hopefully. So yeah, hope you guys are all well. Hope your family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.